Your business is bringing in money, but where's the profit? If you've ever felt like you're working hard but still not seeing the fruits of your labor, then it may be because of one of these hidden money leaks. So let's fix that. Hi everyone, I'm Jamie Trull, your favorite CPA and financial literacy educator. And if you're not subscribed to this channel right now, I would love it if you would go ahead and press that button. It means a lot to creators like me. Here on this channel, I'm bringing you all the information to help you stay informed, organized, and profitable in your business finances. So please come back later. And also make sure to stay around to the end of this video because I'm going to tell you the one thing that most people miss when it comes to finding hidden profit in their business. All right, let's start with the number one place profit might be hiding in your business. And if you think I'm going to jump right to expenses, you are not correct. We'll get there in just a minute. But first, I want to start with the money coming into your business. We are going to talk about pricing. Now, pricing is one of those things I see a lot of memes about, right? Charge your worth and add tax, all these types of things. But at the end of the day, most of us use just our gut or maybe our competitors to come up with what our prices are going to be. But here's the thing. Pricing is actually a formula, and it's a formula based on the cost to actually produce the product or service that you're selling. And when we're not pricing with a formula in mind, that's where we end up with profit leaks, especially in the case that the inputs, right, meaning the cost of goods that are going into any physical products you're making, or perhaps the cost of services that are going into any services that you're offering, right, the cost of labor, things like that, when those go up and we are not adequately also adjusting our prices for that, that's how we lose profit. And that's what happens in most small businesses over time, right? Costs go up over time, but we're rarely raising our prices to keep up with that. And not that we should raise our prices every single time one small input changes. However, we need to have adequate cushion within our pricing that we have plenty of room, and we need to be adjusting our prices regularly and analyzing the cost to produce that good or service. And here's the biggie. The thing we often miss is the value of our own time. Some of you might be saying, I don't have that many costs, right? It's just me and my business. I'm a service-based solopreneur. Yes, you do. Your cost has a value. And I'm not talking about the value of you as a person or even the value of you to your business. I mean, it has a market value. You could go out and hire someone else to do the work that you are doing. How much would you have to pay them for each of those different tasks? That's the market value of your job. And here's the thing. If you can't hire someone to take on some of the tasks because you wouldn't have enough money to pay them, you're probably not charging enough. You need to be charging customers not only the same amount of money that you would be paid if you were an employee, because then you might as well just be an employee. You need to be charging customers an amount that covers both your salary as an employee and also the amount of money you should make that covers you as the business owner and the risk that you're taking on to run the business and all the overhead that you have in your business, the costs that you're incurring. So that is where things get hidden, right? Those costs are sometimes hidden because our own salary, especially if you're not a corporation and paying yourself an actual salary, our own amounts that we pay ourselves doesn't show up on our profit and loss statement anywhere. So therefore it kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But we need to assume when we're setting our prices, we need to think about the market value of the work that we're doing so that we can someday actually get out of our business. So this is typically what I tell people when they say, I can't afford to hire. The first thing to look at is your pricing. Are you charging as a business owner or are you charging as a employee or contractor, right? And those are different things. And remember, even if you are a 1099 contractor and you get a 1099 from your employers, you are still a business owner in the eyes of the IRS. And you should treat your business like a business. And that means making sure you're building in adequate profit for yourself and that if you needed to, you could step out of the business someday. Whew, okay, all right. That one I get a little bit on my soapbox about because it really is a formula. That formula isn't the same for everyone. It is something that I talk about in my new book coming up, which I'll talk about here in a minute, called Hidden Profit. So that is actually one of the 8 different profit levers that I talk about within this book. We're only going to talk about 5 of them today, but there are actually 8 different profit levers that you can pull to help you make more profit in your business. I would love if you would pre-order this book. It would mean the absolute world to a new author like myself. If you go to jamietrull.com/hidden profit, you are also going to be able to see how to pre-order the book from any of the retailers that you are used to. This is a book published by Simon Acumen. So you can purchase this anywhere you would normally purchase a book. And if you go to that page and sign up, you're also going to be able to grab some extra bonuses that I have added for pre-ordering. All you have to do is pre-order a book and you get a whole bunch of extra bonuses that are worth hundreds of dollars as well. So it's a pretty good deal. So definitely go check that out. All right, on to the second place that profit might be hiding in your business. And now we're going to talk about expenses. And no, I'm not talking about all expenses. And I don't want you just going and cutting your expenses willy-nilly, because that can very much backfire. If you have expenses in your business that are truly investments in that they are generating you more money than they actually cost, right? If you have an employee who bills, $100,000 in sales, but you pay them $50,000, don't get rid of that employee to save money. That makes no sense, right? We know that, but we do that sometimes when we go a little crazy with the cost cutting, okay? So the first place I want you to start, though, when we're looking at operating costs is with your subscriptions. Now, I know for my business, that's often software subscriptions. And typically I'm looking at, are we actually using this? Is this something we actually need? Are we getting value from this? Could we potentially downgrade the package, right? Maybe we don't need to be on the highest package. We can downgrade, because the reason that these things, are important to look at is that they really add up over time, right? So it may only be like a $40 a month subscription, but you add that up over an entire year, and that's around $500. And then you go multiple years of paying this. If you're not using this actively in your business, you could easily be paying thousands of dollars that isn't going to good use and isn't providing a return. So we want to cut that stuff, or we want to reduce it, or we want to figure out how to aggregate, right? Where might we be able to make better systems so that we can actually save some money? Now, one really good way to do this, and I do this sometimes, is I pause subscriptions. Of course, I tell my team, but I do pause subscriptions to see, hey, does this change anything, right? Does this do anything? Does this cause any issues? Are we running into any roadblocks? And if not, maybe we didn't need it to begin with, or maybe we didn't need to be on that high package. Now, I typically find this stuff by looking through my profit and loss in my accounting software, or even just going to my business bank account and going through what those recurring charges are. Some banking platforms like Relay that I use actually tell you what subscriptions you have ongoing. So that can be really helpful to quickly find those subscriptions and cancel them if you need to. And the great thing is, it's straight profit, right? If you cancel subscriptions worth like $200 a month, that's $2,400 a month in straight profit to your pocket, right? That's amazing. So it's definitely worth doing. The third place you might have some hidden money in your business is in your taxes. And specifically, you might be paying more in self-employment taxes than you really need to be. And I talk a good amount on this channel for those of you that have been around. I talk a lot about the difference between being a sole proprietor or an LLC versus being taxed as an S Corp. And that's not to say that it's right for everyone or that it is a blanket solution for everyone. However, there does come a time where it can be significantly beneficial, and it can potentially significantly decrease your tax bill, because there will be a portion of the income that you make that will not have self-employment taxes, i.e. Social Security and Medicare, that will be assessed on it. So this is a great thing to look into. Again, there's not a bright line for when this makes sense. You want to get an individual look at your finances. We do have some tools to help with that. If you want to go check out our free S Corp Switch Masterclass, that would be a good thing to join. It's just jamietrull.com/switch. And you can watch that and get a good idea of whether it makes sense for you to switch to an S corporation. But that's not the only way that you're losing profit due to taxes. You might also be overpaying taxes because you're missing out on deductions, right? Make sure you're taking things that you might be paying personally as deductions. Things like the business portion of your cell phone or your mileage if you drive at all for work, right? Your home office. I take a portion of my home office, and it can get a little bit complicated. So you want to talk to a CPA about what makes the most sense for you. But ultimately, you don't want to miss those deductions because they can really add up. And those are typically my two biggest tips for saving on taxes. Make sure you're getting all of your deductions and look into being taxed as an S Corp. The third one that can be really helpful as well is making sure that you're maxing out your retirement accounts. I'm not going to get deep into that here. However, just know that by opening a retirement account and putting pre-tax money in, that's another great way to keep your money, but get a tax benefit out of it. And speaking of making sure that you are taking all of the deductions that you are entitled to, I do recommend using an accounting software because it can help with this. So I have a whole roundup of accounting softwares, including special deals that I've negotiated on your behalf at jamietrull.com/accounting. I even have a decision tree to help you decide which one might be best for you. Now, one of the other places that profit might be hiding in your business is you might be doing things that make you think you're saving money, but it's actually costing you money. So again, going back to the idea of hiring help or doing other things like that that can invest in your business, right? By not doing so, you might actually be missing out on profit. A lot of times we focus a lot on the cost, but the key to me when I hire help is to make sure that I've saved up enough for usually the first 1 to 3 months of their salary. And as long as I've done that, because it's probably going to take a little bit of time before you see a return on investment, especially depending on the type of job you're hiring for, right? If it's not a direct revenue generating role, it might take a little bit longer. But even admin roles can save you a lot of money because admins can help you make processes more efficient. They can take things off of your plate that allows you to focus on the bigger things that actually drive sales. So the more that you can get help and really be able to focus in on only the things that you can do, that can actually be a massive generator of profit. So you don't want to just say no to everything because you're worried about the cost of it. Sometimes we have to take a little bit of risk to be able to see that return. So I like to think of it like this. What task could you hire out for $25 an hour that you could make $200 an hour with that time, right? And when we start thinking about it like that, it gets a lot easier to make those decisions to outsource things. So it's not just about time savings. Hiring isn't just about saving time for yourself. It is literally a profit motive, right? Like that is the main purpose, is to be able to ultimately help your bottom line. All right. And the fifth thing that might be hidden money in your business is if you're in an inventory business, then doing things like overstocking, that might be creating a situation where you're tying up a lot of your money in stock that isn't selling. So if you don't have tight controls over inventory, that can really impact your profit at the end of the day. You want to know how fast those things are turning over. You don't want to be investing in inventory that isn't selling because that's ultimately taking away the profit that you're making on the inventory that is selling. And so a lot of physical product businesses feel like all they do is take the profit from the sold product and then they're just using it to buy the next product, and they never feel like they can get out of that cycle. And some of that is just because of inventory management. So really getting your hands around your inventory, making sure that there's not inventory that isn't selling and isn't turning, and really getting tight controls and really watching what's happening with your inventory can help free up quite a bit of profit for those physical product businesses. Okay, so I promised you 5 places that profit is hiding, but I actually have a bonus one. And that bonus place your profit might be hiding is with uncollected invoices. So if late payments from clients are a thing that you are dealing with, or you're dealing with cash flow timing issues where you need to pay bills before you've collected the money from the related clients for those invoices, then that's causing a cash crunch for you. If you're having to wait 30, 60, 90 days to get paid for the work you've already done, then that is losing you not just time, but also money, because that's money you could have reinvested back into the business to be making more money. So you want to think about your cash collection processes and sometimes moving them around such that you can move up those collections, making them auto pay, or even billing ahead of when the services are done, depending on your industry, could be an option for you and could fix a lot of the cash flow crunch issues we find ourselves in. And that's the great thing about using an accounting software to send your invoices, because a lot of times they can actually send reminders and things like that. You can actually program all of that in such that your customers are hopefully going to pay you more quickly and you don't have to remember to constantly be going out there and trying to collect. So I hope that this video was helpful. If you want even more tips and strategies, I go through so much in my new book, Hidden Profit. It is coming out soon, but if you pre-order, you're going to get pre-order bonuses that you will not get after this book hits the shelves. So please go ahead and go pre-order now. Go to jamietrull.com/hidden profit. This has been a labor of love. This is all about teaching you about your finances, finding hidden profit in your business, and then using that hidden profit to create a life of abundance that you love. So I would love for you to be a part of this movement, and please tell your friends as well. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.